Welcome to the Cash Flow Chronicles. I'm your host, Jonny and the founder of Catani Capital Group. For the last 2 years, I've been studying alternative assets and now help solve the problem of creating passive cash flow for creators, influencers, and busy professionals by bringing you 5 episodes a week of easy to understand education in the world of passive investing. What's up, guys? Happy Friday. Welcome to another episode of the Cash Flow Chronicles Friday follow-up here on the Cash Flow Chronicles. I'm your host, Jonny Catani. If you can't tell, it's been a bit of a long week, but in a good way, right? Obviously had the webinar on Tuesday. Hopefully you guys were able to catch that. That recording will be in the description as well. Going to keep it in the description here for a little bit as we continue forward. Got a lot of excitement, a lot of buzz, and already starting to get some soft commits. I believe we're up to about three or 400,000. I don't know. Last time I checked, I think it was 300,000 in soft commits, which is great. We're very excited about that, and working with some other partners, potentially. Well, not, I shouldn't say partners as in raising partners. I mean partners in terms of other groups, more specifically some custodians for self-directed IRAs and 401ks. So really excited about that as well, to be able to bring this opportunity to an even bigger audience, because I do believe that it is a very incredible opportunity. Now, certainly, obviously, on the retirement side, obviously the tax advantages are, do not apply. But for those who are high income earners, obviously a very, very awesome opportunity. So we're very excited about that. But that's not what we're going to talk about today. We'll be talking about that ad nauseum pretty much all week. I've talked about it in all the podcasts this week. So we are going to move forward. And as you guys know, I am keeping these relatively short now, the Friday episodes. So moving forward, we're going to update here on Wednesday. Like I said, I hadn't paid attention, honestly, admittedly, to any of the, shouldn't say any, but I wasn't paying attention super heavily to current economic events. As you guys know, that's what I love to do. So got caught up on some of that stuff. Really not a ton to update. As we've talked about before, obviously inflation is slowing. Good news is that last month it was at 3%. That's the lowest it's been in 2 years. I'm sure as pretty much everyone, we've all been feeling inflation, right? I believe through COVID, it got up to since COVID, it's 40% inflation, which is just absolutely insane. So you're starting to see prices come down. Food prices are coming down. Gas prices, oil prices, somewhat coming down, not anything, too crazy. Price of oil, it has come down a few cents, but that's staying relatively even. That's when we're going to keep an eye on, because that's a bit of a double-edged sword now, being an investor in the industry, right? We want the price per barrel to go up, which ultimately will, reflect itself at the gas pump. Let's see, other things that have gone down. Rents are starting to level out in pretty much every market. Obviously, as I've talked about before, the Midwest just kind of keeps that 3 to 5, 6% increase every year. So they're right on track with what they've always done. In slowing economic times like this, they lead the list in terms of, which markets are seeing the highest rental increases. But then obviously, over the last couple of years, they're not even on the top 20, right? Because you've got places like Austin and Phoenix rising 20%. So certainly something to keep an eye on. Another big piece to keep an eye on as well is the Fed is starting to entertain some changes in banking regulations. The biggest one being that they're entertaining the idea of increasing the capital requirement for bigger banks, meaning more specifically 2%, or essentially $2. So for every $100 in risk that you have, they would increase your capital requirements by $2. Now, it doesn't sound like a lot, but you extrapolate that over billions, and obviously it becomes a very large number. Starting to see pushback from banks for obvious reasons, right? That's going to dip into their ability to lend, which ultimately will affect economic growth. That's kind of their biggest pushback right now. But the Fed is making the case that, it would take them basically less than 2 years of profits to fulfill those capital requirements. So certainly something to keep an eye on. A lot of evidence with the banking failures that we had earlier in the year between the four banks. The evidence is saying that it was more on the side of poor management than regulations. And, certainly when you dig into it, you kind of see that they saw it coming, right? As per usual with a lot of these things, you've got your bank executives that were liquidating their stock holdings, just a few months prior to these bank runs and ultimately these collapses. They went in front of Congress. None of them were giving any of it back, which, are we surprised by any means? No, we're not surprised. My big question to you, would you give it back? Right? Would you give it back? How much is ethics and how much is their right? So that's the big question. What does giving it back do? Ultimately, I guess that would, if they were to return, $50 million, that would essentially go to the fund that's paying back all of the customers that they had that, basically, the FDIC is only covering up to 250,000. So that will be something to keep an eye on as well to determine whether or not the FDIC increases its coverage. We saw before about a month or so ago, maybe 2 months ago, that they were entertaining the idea of increasing the coverage specifically for business accounts, more specifically payroll accounts, right? That was the biggest, that's a huge risk when you've got a business account that's your payroll account and you can't even access it and potentially not even pay your payroll, right? Or it's only covered up to 250,000, but you've got $1 million in payroll. And a lot of times with these payroll accounts, the money goes into the account. So how payroll would typically work is you would typically move it into the payroll account when the day before payroll goes out, right? So you move the money over so that it doesn't stay in there very long so that you don't run the risk of a bank going insolvent and you can't access your million plus, or, even if it was 251,000 technically, but 500 million, whatever your payroll is, right? Not being able to access that means, people not getting their paychecks, which is just starts an absolute domino, which ultimately led to the bank runs and so on and so forth. So certainly something to keep an eye on. You guys know I will absolutely be keeping an eye on that. I look forward to talking to you guys next week. Thank you, as always, for listening. I hope you guys have a great weekend. We have a massive heat wave rolling through Salt Lake City this weekend. So it's supposed to be 105 on Sunday. Absolutely insane. I played volleyball. I play volleyball just at a park. I play pickup sand volleyball every Thursday and Friday morning. Yesterday morning, luckily we ended about 9:45 because it was already over 80 degrees and I got a little bit of heat exhaustion. Had to take a bit of the morning and relax, cold shower. So it's happening, and it happens every year now. Obviously it's July. This is about the hottest part. The next 4 to 6 weeks are usually the most brutal. So I will be enjoying the air conditioning and all cold bodies of water that I can. So certainly something. So hopefully you guys stay cool this weekend. Have a great weekend. Thank you guys as always for listening. And of course, you guys, if you want to be a part of all of these awesome deals that are going to be rolling out, KataniCapitalGroup.com, KataniCapitalGroup.com, top right corner, become an investor. see, maybe I don't actually know what officially it says. Yes, it does say become an investor, top right corner. Can't miss it. KataniCapitalGroup.com. I will talk to you guys on Wednesday. See ya. Thank you again for tuning in. Who do you know that wants more cash flow? Share this episode with them so you can grow your cash flow together. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you're subscribed on your platform of choice so you never miss a new episode. Go to KataniCapitalGroup.com to learn more.